Okay.
We've been ready.
We here. Yeah, I'm late. I'm afforded a late. You know what I'm saying? As many times I'll be here on time. You know what I mean? But it is my fault. We late. Shout out to Hakeem Bell and the Bell family from Kool and the Gang. Today I attended the Cool Kids golf outing, celebrity golf outing in Livingston, New Jersey, Cedar Hill. It was the first time that I had golfed 18 whole holes, like did a whole 18 hole shit. Wow. And that shit is a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah. Shout out to Drez. Drez was in my foursome. Amazing golf player. He was the best player in our group.
Drez?
Yeah, Drez was the best golf, without question. Drez was the best golfer in our group. He's an amazing guy. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm here. My apologies on the tardiness, but this is gonna be a great conversation. How y'all doing? We got OSD Paper Chaser in the house, by the way. So when I walked in, off top, I see everybody elevated their shoe game because they knew he was coming. You know what I'm saying? They knew he was coming outside. You know what I mean? So I see Jay wore his best.
My shoe is always elevated. My shoe game is always elevated. So I know what you're talking about.
I see God doing her thing. You know what I'm saying? So again, my apologies for lateness, but this is an amazing conversation. I want to tell you how dope my tribe is. My tribe is so dope that I've been in this brother's presence a few times this summer. Spike's block party, Hip Hop Closet block party, and off top, Sean, introduced us, and it was just like love from the jump. And
oh yeah, I actually came to your birthday block.
You came to block, right? You came right. That was the first time. We took a picture at that too, right? At the birthday block party. And it was just like, when if it's somebody from my tribe, bring somebody in, then that person is tribe, right? And so from that time to now, I just was like, nah, dude is a cool guy. I didn't know who you were, what you did for a living, right? We never had a conversation about it. And then I get the word that I'm going to be interviewing Terrence Floyd. And I've heard of Terrence Floyd, right? I've heard of Terrence Floyd. Terrence Floyd works in the social justice space here in Brooklyn. I work in the community space here in Brooklyn. So your name has come up numerous times. So I'm like, okay, well, who? And I'll tell you. She sends me the thing, okay, we're interviewing Terrence Floyd. And I sent her the picture of me and you. And I'm like, this is Terrence Floyd? Right? She's like, yeah. So, everybody knows about the horror of March 25th, 2020, right? And seeing George Floyd being brutally murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the heat of the pandemic, when people was locked down inside. It was a terrorizing thing to have to witness from here in New York. But anything that I can say about it pales in comparison to you as his brother and what you and your family went through in that space. But you've been someone who has turned tragedy into triumph, not just for you, but for people in Brooklyn who need the work that you do. So I can't wait to get into that. I want to introduce to some, I want to present to others, my brother Terrence Floyd. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Same here.
Let's start at the beginning. You from Brooklyn?
Yes, born in Harlem, raised in East New York, Brooklyn, 731 Sheffield.
Oh, okay.
And then, at that time in the 80s and 90s, Mom was like, "Nah, we're not gonna have this. Let's move out of Brooklyn." So we moved to Queens, South Side. Yeah. And then
and that ain't much better.
No,
that ain't much better.
Not at all. The only difference I see our people in houses.
Right.
That's about it.
Right.
But then later on, after college and everything, I got on my own and I moved back to Brooklyn.
Okay.
And I moved to Bed-Stuy.
Where'd you go to high school at?
I went 1 year at Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, you was in Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One year in Thomas Jefferson, and then I transferred to John Adams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What type of kid were you?
Mischievous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Regular dude, regular little kid, trying to understand life and getting into stuff. But my mother, God bless her, she's a praying woman. So I couldn't go but so far. You know what I mean? Because it was like a calling on my life. So I couldn't go where some of my friends went. And some of my friends, I could say rest in peace now, they didn't make it as far as I did. But
yeah. Yeah, I was talking to somebody like a couple weeks ago, and they said they was like the percentage of people in our generation that have been arrested for jumping the turnstile is like 80%.
Oh yeah.
You got arrested for jumping the turnstile?
No.
Sean, you got arrested for jumping the turnstile?
No.
Kai, you?
No.
Jason, you?
What the tech? Hell no.
I barely rode the train. Remember?
He's too small for that.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm gonna start.
You got arrested?
No, I never got arrested for jumping the turnstile, but I know people who we all know.
Right.
I'm not gonna say no names, but we know dudes that got arrested for jumping the turnstile. But I was talking to somebody and they was like, "Yo, the percentage of people our age," and I was like, I ain't never.
Right.
But like Kaisha, most of my life I spent in Clinton Hill, and I went to Tech, so I really didn't take the train as a kid much.
Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And I actually took the test. I told Sean this a while ago. I actually took the test to go to Brooklyn Tech, and I failed it by 2 points.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And until this day, my mother will not let me live it down. You should have studied. You know, if you didn't study and you failed by 2 points, imagine if you would have studied.
Right.
So it was like, okay.
Right. Were you the type of kid that went away for summers or went, down south, out west? Like, did you spend time out in New York as a kid?
Yes, definitely down South Carolina with my grandmother and family down there, and my cousins and stuff like that. Yeah.
What were some of the juxtapositions? What did you see down south as a kid that you didn't see here, or vice versa? Because I did the same thing. I used to go down to Portsmouth, Virginia for the summers,
Right.
up until a certain age. But yeah, I would go down south, and they ain't used to have no AC, no
Right.
fans, hot as hell down there.
And the one thing I've definitely seen in the South that was different. I mean, it's respect, but I heard everybody saying "ma'am," "yes sir,"
Right. Politeness,
and politeness,
respect.
And if we said "huh" or "yes," and then say the "ma'am" or the "sir" afterwards, we was disrespectful.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember if you said "huh," that was a term of disrespect.
Right.
Like, what you mean "huh"? Like,
Right.
what's "huh"?
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that. What did you want to be? Like, high school, college. What did Terrence want to be when you grew up?
Well, now they call it engineer. But when I grew up, I was like, I want to be a computer expert. That was my thing.
You just want to work with computers.
Right. Just
You
wanna
was
work
good
with
with computers.
I was good with computers. My mother was like the mogul of typing, though. She was just fast with it, But I was intrigued.
Well, that generation used to take typewriting for like a class. Like,
Right.
they would have to learn to type a certain words per minute.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
My mother was so good at typing until I'm a drummer, so we were supposed to have this thing where she's typing and I'm playing the drums to
that's dope.
her speed.
Uh-huh.
We never got around to it, but that was an idea.
You played drums from when?
I played drums since I was about 6 years old.
Really?
Yeah. Church, school band, stuff like that.
So that kept you out of a lot of problems.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
when a kid has that level of a hobby where they got to go to practice and you got to go perform, you die out in the streets wild.
Right.
So that was a good thing for you.
Very good thing.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it back then, but I'm thank God for it now.
What college you go to?
I went to Queensboro Community College.
How long has social justice activism been something that has been on your plate?
Now that's when I could break it down, because it's been around me for a long time, because we could go back to Patrick Bailey in Brooklyn that was killed. That was my childhood friend. Like, literally, we could knock on the walls and be like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" We lived right in the same tenement.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that was something that happened in the late 90s, but it affected me because that was my friend. And then to go, I'm starting late, then to go further back to that, when Yusef Hawkins.
Yeah.
I lived on Sheffield. Yusef Hawkins lived on Georgia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I was around it. And then now being around Sharpton and seeing his film, Loudmouth, and I'm seeing all the things he did. And like I said, I went to John Adams. So he was fighting for racial justice in Queens. So my thing is, it's always been around me. And because of his fight, I was able to go to Adams. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been around me. So now when people say, "Oh, this thrusted you into this on this platform and everything," it's true, But when I think about it, I just say
The seeds
I
were
flipped
planted.
it. Yeah, I was not thrusted in. I was prepared for it.
Right. Yeah, I could relate to that because that summer when Yusef Hawkins was murdered, that was like a very tumultuous period. Like that 2-year period, we had Eleanor Bumpers die, we had Michael Griffith die, we had Philip Pennell, right? Then we had the exonerated 5 get charged. That was like the April before Yusef, right? So I was 13 in 1988, and so I can remember just really holding anger about what was happening, right? I marched. We closed down the Brooklyn Bridge in the summer '88 as a result of Yusef Hawkins' death. Like protests. But I remember those seeds being planted for us back then. And then Do the Right Thing came out. Fight the Power came out. Right. So we were really, in some ways, we were the children of the civil rights movement. But in other ways, we ourselves had a struggle that we had to overcome.
Right.
In Brooklyn, and people don't see that part of New York City and Brooklyn. People don't understand how racist New York City was. Right. They don't remember the Joey Farmers of the world. They don't remember the white Italians that would, run kids out of Howard Beach or run kids out of Bay Ridge, right?
Right.
So yeah, I can relate to that. But let's tell me about March 25th, 2020. Tell me about May 25th. I'm sorry. Yeah, May 25th. Yeah.
Well, May 25th was 2020. That was real. It plays in my head all the time because I was actually going to a doctor's appointment that morning, and I see you talk about health all the time, so I was definitely going to get that checkup.
Right.
So on my way there, my 2 sisters, Bridget Floyd, and my baby sister Bridget Floyd, my older sister Tanya Floyd, called me on Facebook Messenger, video call, and they're just hysterical. Oh my goodness, and I'm like, what's going on? I can't hear y'all. Calm down. What's going on? And I hear them say, he's gone. I'm like, who? So I'm getting ready on the train. When you waiting for the J train, it's like you can't really hear nothing now because it's coming by. Right. So I'm like, I'll call y'all back. I click hang up the phone. So when I get on the train, I'm seeing everybody on their phones. Like I usually see some people on their phones, some people looking up. Yeah. Everybody was on their phones. Yeah. And they looking down. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go to my appointment. And I still didn't look at my phone. I went to my appointment, got in the office in Queens, and people on their phones. I checked in, I sat down, then I got on my phone. I was like, let me Google what's going on. As soon as I Googled, at that point in time, the name was not revealed. You just hear the audio. Right. So I'm like, that sounds familiar, but nah, I don't know what's going on. I said, it's crazy. I'm looking at it like, yo, what's going on? Minnesota and the voice, but I still didn't put 2 and 2 together. So after I finished my appointment, I get back on the train. Again, people on the train.
So you went to your appointment?
Yeah.
And saw the doctor?
Yeah.
Sisters didn't call you back?
No.
Right. And you ain't look at your phone?
And I ain't look at my phone. So when I'm leaving, I get on the train, people still looking at their phones. So I'm like, they still looking at this? I look at my phone again, and at that time, the name was revealed. And that's when I was like, nah, they bugging. And I'm like, nah. So then I get on the train, I'm walking down Gates Avenue, and I look, and then that's when they got the picture, they got everything.
Now they
and I'm like,
stuff.
So that's when it just hit me right there, Gates Avenue. I'm just by the buildings. I just like leaned, collapsed on the building, and one of my friends, 2 of my friends, the twins, they came. They was like, yo, T, you all right? All I said was, yo, my brother, man. They was like, yo, that's crazy. So they walked me to my apartment, and when I get upstairs, my family is just looking at me like, you all right? My son is livid. And he at the time, I want to say 15, 16, you know what I'm saying? So he was livid. Right. And I had to literally try to talk to him. You know what I mean? Because I know the young people was upset. Right. So I didn't want him going out here doing nothing or depression or whatever. So I literally, whatever I was feeling, I had to put it down and talk to him. Right. And that's how that went. So I was in the house for like a week, didn't want to talk to nobody, whatever. But then a friend of mine told me, they said, you got to talk. You got to say something because America, New York is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
You know, so then she found out a friend of hers, Reverend McCall, Kevin McCall, yeah.
I know.
He was going to Minnesota and he contacted her. And she said, well, I know his brother. He was like, what? Then let him know I'm going to Minnesota. So she told me, and then, I told her like 20 times, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to go. I had to talk with her, and she was like, she called me Terry. She said, Terry, I'm telling you, you gotta go. You gotta say something. And then I spoke to my mother, and you know, them words from your mother, that's it.
That's it. Right.
My mother was like, I'm kind of nervous for you, but this is something you may have to do. And then listen to her, but I called her back. I said, I tell him I'm going. And you know, the rest is history.
Yeah. So yeah, two things. The first is New York was on fire after that, right? It was Breonna Taylor prior to George, right? So it was Breonna Taylor, then George Floyd, on top of the pandemic and quarantine, and young people, just like in '88 with the Yusef Hawkins thing, young people got angry and they hit the streets. It was chaos and people were upset, right? Who had no idea who Breonna or George were.
Right.
But in your home, tell me about the level of intensity of this once it hit home, like in your home.
In my home, man. Like I said, I have 3 children. My son about to be 21. My oldest. I have a 7-year-old son and a 6-year-old. She's about to be 6 this year. Old daughter. And what I said is, I have a Eric Garner, I have a Sean Bell, and I have a Breonna Taylor. So I have to keep the understanding of what's going on. They have to know, because they're gonna have these questions when they get older. But my main focus at the time was my son, because he was the oldest. And he had to go out into these streets and go to school and go around his peers and got to know how to handle himself. And I know he's upset because that was his uncle. You know what I'm saying? So that was my main focus, just making sure he was good, he was level-headed, you know, paying attention to him, letting him know, you know, I'm gonna do all I can do to make sure you're safe.
Tell me about the first time you spoke out publicly in front of people after this thing happened.
Oh, the very first time was
the very first time.
when I went to Minnesota with Reverend Kevin McCall. When I spoke in front of couples, I did not know what I was going to say because it was anger mixed with like trying to love, trying to understand. It was just chaos going on in me. So what happened was the icebreaker was the crew that I went down there with. We went around Minnesota and I was looking at all the damage, looking at all of the buildings burnt, looking at all the murals, and I remember one mural, and the photographer that was with us has this mural. He has this picture. He blew it up. There was this one mural that an artist did, and the eyes was like his nose, his face, everything was like I was just looking at my brother. So I stopped there and I looked at this picture, and I stared at it, and I just looked at his eye. I looked at the eyes, and it was like he was saying, "Bro, you still here? Speak for me." You know what I mean? You know who I am. I'm not what they say I am. I'm not what social media is trying to paint me out to be. You know what I'm saying? So if they see you, since me and my brother, we share the same father, same bloodline. If they see you, they see how you move and how you interact with them, they know who I am. They know who Dad is. So that was the fire to go up there and speak. So when they gave me the bullhorn, it was like I was trembling for a minute, but then when I realized who I was speaking for, because everybody's saying George Floyd, but when I hear George Floyd, I hear it twice. I hear George Floyd Sr. and George Floyd Jr. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm speaking for both of them. You know, and so when I got on that mic, it was like everything came out with how I felt about the destruction, how I felt about people, you know, judging other people from a uniform standpoint. You know, all of that just came out, and I just like, you got to stop. And then also at that time, it was the voting.
Yeah.
So I had to throw that in there too, because that's what's going to help us really change what's going on.
Right.
You know, so it just all when I realized who I was speaking for, and then who I was speaking to, everything just flowed. And then,
did it give you solace, or did it make you more cantankerous after you got your words out? So after you spoke, right, and you see the reaction of your words, how it hits the people that you're speaking to, did it give you solace, or did it even make you more enraged about what was happening?
no, it gave me solace because I seen the people I was talking to, and I seen their reactions. So when I spoke to them, I seen that they were listening, not just chanting and not just giving me the ashes and the amens and stuff like that.
Right.
They were listening and actually reacting to them listening. And then when I get home to New York, it was some young boys that I spoke to, whether it was Facebook or phone call. They was like, T, man, like I was one of them dudes that was thrashing 34th Street, but they had you talking over the loudspeakers and stuff, and I was like, that's my man's. So they listened and they just dropped. They said they dropped everything and left and went home. So that it gave me solace. It gave me a feeling like, okay, my voice matters. They're listening to me. I'm relatable, and that's the key I keep, being relatable.
What's the age difference between you and George?
4 years.
He's 4 years older.
Yeah, he's 4 years older than me.
What was the relationship you guys had? What type of
We
motherhood?
Now this is the story that I really tried. I wasn't going to tell it, but I started telling it, and I see how it affects a lot of people. Me growing up in New York and him growing up in Houston, and like I said, we got the same father, different mothers. We knew about each other, but we never had the physical interactions. You know what I'm saying? He knew he had a brother in New York, and he always wanted to meet me, but the distance and the lifestyles or whatever, we never got to. And it was
a lot.
It was
It's a lot.
It was a cousin of mine that in Spring Valley that made it happen. Her daughter was having a baby shower, and she invited him and one of my older sisters from Houston, and he came down, and that was 2016. That's the first time. We was well in our 30s.
Right.
It's the first time I ever got to embrace him and hold him and bond with him.
Right.
So from 2016 to 2020, we tried to really grip all of them years and understand each other. We actually got to. But really, what really made our relationship tight was the fact that he sat down and it kind of gets me even now, but that's what keeps me going too. He asked me, he said, how was our dad? How was he? And I was able to tell him, because I grew up with him.
Because you grew up with your dad.
I grew up with my dad. He did.
Right.
So I was able to tell him. And then by me telling him, he realized the things he was dealing with. Our dad went through the same thing.
Same thing, right.
So he was like, you know, he was actually thanking me. And I was like, yo, man, you had to know. So me knowing that I gave that information to him, that piece of him, to him before he left this earth, that's what keeps me, going. I feel we had the tightest relationship, and we wasn't even really raised together.
Right. That's dope, and that's needed because we are the amalgamation of our parents. So if you don't know, you need to know genetically what you're capable of, what your potential is, in both strengths and weaknesses, right? So now you have a voice. You didn't necessarily plan on having a voice, but the moment you used your voice, you saw change. Tell me about that feeling. when you could realize, like you said, when you said the dude was like, yo, T, I heard you, like we was looting, and I heard your voice, and I just stopped, right? Like, tell me, how did that make you feel? Like, when you come back home now, and you've used your voice, and so now what?
I didn't really understand it at first. I just knew, I heard everybody's reactions, and I was like, wow. You know how you hear something good, you're like, wow, that's cool. Oh, that's impressive. But then you realize those were my words. That was me. So I had to really understand.
He said that was me. Yo, that's dope. Oh shit, that was me.
Right. So it was like, okay, now I really have to sit down and I really have to understand that I really have to watch my words. You know, because even if I'm angry, even if I have to watch my words, because my friend said it's one of those things like when you watch Malcolm X, you saw Malcolm X do his finger like this. He was like, that's the type of power you had.
Right. That's the proof. You said it with the
Right.
looting thing. Right.
Yeah. And everybody was looking for me to be like, you know what? Nah,
Yeah.
do it. And, you know,
And that's
but
the other thing. Because if vengeance would be validated in that moment, vengeance from you would be validated in that moment.
And then
You know what I'm saying?
that's why I was trying
And people would follow you
right
in that moment.
And that's why I was trying to balance it. I was like, even when I was I did my victim impact statement at the courthouse. I had to literally. That's why I kept. If it's on shade room, and I kept stopping. I kept stopping because I felt myself. Even the lady that was standing next to me, she kept rubbing my back because I felt the rage coming up because he was sitting right there.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right there. So I
Right.
felt, and I see people, some of the college, he's like, oh, the Brooklyn coming out of him. And I had to really, press it down because I'm like, people are watching. And that's one thing people told me. He said, no matter what you do, cameras are everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like I said, it's not like I'm saying I can't be myself because I'm a peaceful dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not nothing new, but it's like this situation is like, even if I'm angry, I have to channel it. Yeah.
And use it differently.
Right.
Tell me about when you decided to create the organization. Tell me about how that worked.
When I it actually happened kind of fast because when I came back from Minnesota, a group of friends, they was like, man, you got to start something. And I was like, I don't want to start no foundation because, everything was going on with the GoFundMe.
Where were you working at the time?
I was a school bus driver.
You was a school bus driver.
Yeah.
Right. So
you
ain't got time to build no organization.
I was a school bus driver,
Right.
and I was just like, I'm like literally working because I ain't got time for all this. I'm just trying to, make things happen for my family. That's it.
Right.
But then my friends was like, yo, you got to start something. You got to start something here in New York. Because Minnesota wanted me to join something, Houston everybody wanted to join something.
You become a free agent for social justice. Like everybody wants you because you have the fire in your belly that's validated, right? Like, yeah. So I could see that.
Right. So it was like, so I was like, all right, we'll sit down and we talk about it, whatever. And then it just was like talking about Brianna, and I was like, I need something that's going to not just cover my brother. It could be something started because of a situation with my brother, but I wanted to cover the culture. I wanted to lay it out for the culture. Whatever happens in this organization, we're doing it for the culture. And I know people throw that phrase out there a lot, but I really want it to be for the culture because I see different people going through different things. Whether I go to Texas, whether I go to Nebraska, whether I go wherever to speak, I see how the culture is being mishandled. So it's like that's what I want to do. So then it was like I was looking at Malcolm X, and as you can see, I love Malcolm X.
Right.
So I was looking at Malcolm X, and the movie, and I remember at the end, it was like, "We are Malcolm X." I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X.
Right, when they did that thing at the end,
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela said it, everybody said it
Right.
in the movie. Yeah, I remember
So
that.
I was like, So I was like, then I sat with my boys, and they was like, "We are Floyd." I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then I thought about it. I said, "We are Floyd," because in all the chants, everybody was saying George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. So they kind of meshing themselves into it. So that's why I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick with that. But it wasn't until, and I give all the credit, you can tell I love my mother. I give all the credit to my mother because she's good with wording and acronyms and stuff. And we were sitting there talking on the phone, and she said, you gotta find an acronym for Floyd. I'm like, why? That's the name. That's my name. We're gonna leave it at that. So she said, no, you gotta find an acronym. So I was trying to think of something, and she just came out with it. She said, well, you don't have to take my words. You can use your own.
Mom Dukes is the same. Mothers is the same all over.
Right. So she said, free to live out your dreams. And I was like, wow.
That's it.
I said, I can't even.
Right.
I got to use that.
Yeah.
I credit you, no problem.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna tell them. Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what it is, because that's the mission, and that's the mission because I try. My age range is everybody. You know what I'm saying? But I have this real passion for the young people, to start them early, to catch them early, to understand that they're important and they have dreams that you can actually accomplish. Because sometimes people our age or younger, they're too far gone.
Right.
Right. But that's definitely why I wanted to start We Are Floyd.
So the Floyd organization is a nonprofit organization.
Yes, sir.
What's the mission?
The mission is to try to attack the plagues that's plaguing our culture, whether it's mental illness, whether it's gun violence, whether it's domestic violence. Because even through all of this police brutality, all of that, but what I've come in contact with, even though it started with police brutality, the plague I've been coming in contact with more recently is domestic violence. And I've come in contact with a lot of women that's dealing with that. And then we wonder why us as men, they kind of aggressive and, always blurting stuff out and asking too many questions, because when you go deeper, they've been either molested or domestic violence, and they can't trust us.
Right.
So that's another plague that I'm trying to attack too, where I go to panels and seminars just to give them a male's point of view of one that doesn't hit women.
Right. What you said is so simple and it was so profound. Black women cannot trust black men. And until black men understand that, there'll always be a bit of a divide. Not in every situation, because obviously there are black women that trust black men,
Right.
and vice versa. But that is a problem in our family structure and in our communities, right? The fact that we have black women who cannot find trust in black men because of things like domestic violence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I definitely, they see me with the Jordans and the fitted, but then when they hear me talk to them, they're like, oh, like I can talk to him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's not you talk to me because I want to get with you. No, I want you to heal. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't heal, then the culture's still doomed.
Now let's talk about having a nonprofit, because I've worked in the nonprofit industry for some time. And so I really understand the rigors of maintaining and having a successful nonprofit.
Right. Board
of directors, having bylaws, writing grants, getting funding. How's your organization doing in that way?
To be honest, 4 years later, I'm still trying to build it correctly, because people donate because I do panels and they want to pay me. I say no, pay my organization.
Right.
Donate to the organization. You know, as far as having board members and stuff like that, I'm still trying to learn it because when I started in 2020, it was a group of us that just started it. You know, and we was doing right by the organization and making sure the monies were allocated to where they was donated to. You know, but when people say, who's your board of directors, who's your this, who's your secretary, I'm like, no.
Right.
So I'm still trying to build that. Like I, you know, got connected with my big brother. I call him Sean Williams. You know,
All of our big brothers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been helping me out, helping me navigate through things like that. You know, linking me with you and a couple of people that understand the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's important because so you mentioned a lot of boxes. So for example, domestic violence is a box, right? Social equity, right? And ensuring that children have a fair and equitable opportunity to succeed, that's a box. Crime and public safety, that's a box, right? The thing about each of those boxes is that there are funding opportunities that exist on the city, on the state level, on the federal level, right? But the thing about your particular organization, the Floyd organization, is that you've done an excellent job at codifying, and that's the word I'm gonna use, it may not be the right word to use in this moment, but you've been able to put together and coalesce all of the issues that stem out of those incidents, the Breonna Taylor and the George Floyd incidents, right? So yes, it's a crime issue, right? Yes, it's a public safety issue, but it is also about social equity, right?
Okay.
Because George should have had an opportunity. If you felt like he did something wrong, he should have had the opportunity to be tried for what you felt like he did wrong.
Exactly.
Right? You didn't provide him the proper social equity because you became his judge and jury.
Right.
And that is not the role of police. That's never the role of police.
Right.
They are not, that's why we have courts, so that people can be tried for what it is that they're doing. So you have the potential to really drive home some of these points with the organization. Where you based at?
Oh, in Brooklyn.
Where?
Best-Side.
Oh, in Bed-Stuy? Okay. Yeah. Tell me about the public speaking thing. Like, tell me about getting out there and using your voice now as a beacon for the organization.
Right. It started when I was with an organization, a corporation, Kepler Speakers. They had a contract with them, and they would get me to go to these universities. That's why I was able to go to Nebraska and Notre Dame and those big schools. You know, it started with them where they just had the panels where they wanted to, the Q&As,
right,
where they wanted to just ask me questions and understand my thought patterns on what happened and why it happened and things like that, just to pick my brain basically. You know, that's how it started. It started with the schools and stuff, and then, you know, like I said, Sean, he gave me an opportunity to go to the Black Footwear Forum to go and speak to them. You know, because that's actually my form of activism. I like to speak to the creators. You know, like I said, the young people. You know, so whenever I get an opportunity or somebody has an opportunity for me to speak to young people or even have the Q&As who answer their questions, that's where I go. And that's how it basically started. And then people started just seeing me and saying, and asking me, I got this program in my school, assembly or something like that. Can you come speak to the children? And I'm okay. You know, people, you know, they kind of was nervous because, you know, they know people come speak, they want money and stuff like that. But my thing is, if you want me to travel, okay, fine. But if it's in my neighborhood, I'm gonna come speak.
right.
You know, if you give me a token of love, you give me a token of love. But I'm coming to speak to my neighborhood youth.
How's your family feel about the organization?
My family, the whole, or my immediate family.
Your whole family.
It's cool. It's cool. You know, because it's kind of difficult because my organization is here in New York, and my uncle and cousin have one in North Carolina. Then you got the other brothers and stuff that have it in Houston. So everyone is wondering, and I'm glad I can speak about this. Everyone is wondering, you know, why y'all just don't come together. But I basically said we can come together, but we're in different parts of different states. So, and this is an international issue. So I'm gonna work here in New York, where I see what's going on, and they can work in North Carolina, because they see what's going on, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of community-based organizations.
Right.
There are hundreds and thousands of nonprofit organizations, right? So the fact that you have you state your case for the work here in New York, like you said, Houston has a different set of circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are the same.
Right.
Some of them are different.
Right.
North Carolina has the same thing. Some of them are same. Some of them are different. But the goal is for all of us to be working
Right.
towards the better good.
Right.
And if that is happening, so if you have family members here and there that are continuing to use the inspiration behind that tragedy to do good work in communities, then that's fine. That's
Right.
what you want.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you want. Tell me what you want in terms of what is your goal with the Floyd organization? Like, what would be deemed success from the organization?
But right now, you know, shockingly to a lot of people, I actually had a few meetings with the NYPD, you know, with programs and stuff like that. My ultimate goal, because like I said, I've been in Nebraska, I've been all over these states, and I finally, this year, the end of last year and this year, I said, nah, it's all good to go out of the state and out of the country and stuff like that, but I want to focus on my hometown, because that's what I see everything, you know. So now it's getting to that point where I'm able to, you know, set up things and try to do different events in New York, get connected with people so I can do stuff in New York. And my goal is to basically have the youth to have the childhood I had when we had PALs and we had the after school centers and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, that just for the legacy of my brother that in New York, that because of that, because he didn't die in vain, because I was able to use that platform and build up my hometown. And that's basically my goal.
You still driving bus?
No, I had to stop. I had to stop.
Yeah, because she got busy. She got busy.
Yeah.
Do you ever come across people who attempt to cling on or latch on or manipulate or try to be a part of your cipher because of who you are? You laughing?
Me and Sean was just talking about that before we on. You know, and you know, I'm not, you know, not being cocky, not like that, but being from Brooklyn roots, I'm able to like discern.
Yeah, you can see it coming.
See it coming.
Yeah, you can see it coming.
You know, and but in 2020, I want to be honest, some of them I didn't see coming because you know, it was playing on the heartstrings.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
and you, it was very raw for you then too, though.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, you also weren't as stably minded as you are now
Exactly.
because you were dealing with that shit.
Exactly. But as time went on, you know, I believe even if I didn't see it, you know, God put people in my life to help me see it.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And
Yeah, unfortunately, there are grief groupies.
oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are. There just are. There's grief groupies. Like, there are people who just want to be attached to the connectivity to these type of issues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, and not just, I ain't just talking laymen. I'm saying organizations.
Oh yeah.
Right. I'm talking on that level.
Oh man. We ain't in the business of calling names, but
Nah, yeah, I mean, take a look at Sean. I wish I could see Sean's face. I wish I could see Sean's face. Yeah, man. I'm very proud of you, bro. Like,
appreciate it, man.
I mean, Yo, if you would have said, let's go to Minnesota and burn that shit down, no one could have held that against you.
Right.
If you'd have said, you know what, I'm gonna ball up in a circle in the corner and be depressed for the next 5 years, no one can hold that shit against you. If you got angry or despondent, or if your son wanted to, you know, exact revenge, like all of, like when you go through some shit like that, whatever happens,
Right.
there's a level of validation. Like you can't put somebody through something like that and not expect them to go crazy.
Right.
You haven't gone crazy. In fact, not only have you not gone crazy, but you have kind of found a way to use this thing to yours and to your family's advantage, simply by using your voice. Right? And that shit is important, bro. That shit is important. You ever think about educating or teaching?
I thought about it. Sean, man. I thought about it.
I'm on the right track, Sean?
Yeah. I thought about it, and I wanted to back away from it, but because of God putting Sean in my life,
Right.
you know, and me obsessed with sneakers, you know, I went to his school, and we were sitting down talking, and he picked my brain, and we started talking about a course. And, you know, can I say it? All right. You know what I mean? We got a course coming up, fashionably wrong.
Fashionably wrong.
You know, when we go back 30, 40 years of, you know, racism in fashion.
Shit, that's hot.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when I was thinking about teaching, I was thinking, you know, social studies, which I really didn't like growing up,
Right.
and you know, English, you know, regular courses.
Right, the reading, writing, arithmetic type
Right,
teaching.
right.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when Sean brought this idea to me and broke it down, I was like, okay, we can rock with this. We can roll with this because people are really interested in that.
Right. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. We have a big mental health problem in this city right now. All you got to do is walk down the street or get on the subway, and you'll see that there's a big mental health issue in this city right now.
Right.
A big part of the reason why there's a mental health crisis in the city is because there aren't centers for mental health services. And there used to be in the 70s, even in the 80s, there were like crisis centers.
Right.
Right? There aren't any crisis centers anymore. But also, the common person that has some sort of mental health calamity either doesn't have access to therapists or doesn't have the wherewithal to understand why therapy is important.
Right.
But what they do is they go to people they trust. They go to people in the hood. Like I get it all the time. Like people will come to me, they're dealing with some things mentally, and they'll come to me just to download those things because they trust me. That's what I was thinking with you, is like you've exhibited stable mental health practices in yourself. Like you went through trauma and you found your voice, and you, like you said, you did something that mentally healthy people know that they should do. What you said was, I knew I was messed up, but I knew my children were messed up, and so I put what I was dealing with to the side to save them.
Right.
Knowing that they needed me.
Right.
So that's what I was thinking. It's like, wow, you could really make an impact with people who are trauma induced.
And that's what the Q&As when I was going to these schools, that's what ended up happening. Because I remember I went to, oh man, I can't remember this. I don't remember this right school off the back, but one of the ones that was moderating was a psychiatrist. And she's asking me questions, and I'm answering them, and then I happen to see her crying. And she was like, I didn't expect that answer from you. And I'm like, well, what you mean? She was like, I expected you to break down, but you strongly answered that question. You know, so I get what you mean. I get what you're saying, and that's what I never really thought about. Like, because when I speak to them, when I speak when I see them cry and I see them talking to me, you know, I never really thought about that aspect of it.
Right.
I just feel like, you know, I'm telling my story and
Right.
it's healing them.
Right.
But now that you say that, I'm like, oh,
Right.
wow.
So I've been in the nightlife industry for a while. I used to be the general manager of Milk River, and I've done all types of things. Anything in the nightlife industry I've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I learned that was a strong skill set of mine that made sense in that industry was that you need to be order in chaos. Right? So the shit is chaotic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a club, you got thousands of people coming in, drinking, eat food, all of the things is chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can be order in chaos, then you can be successful in chaos.
Right.
And that's what I see in you. What I see in you is if shit gets chaotic, Terry is going to be order, and you ain't gonna get chaotic with it.
No.
You're gonna be order, and that is a strong skill set to have. And that's probably what the psychiatrist saw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That she saw that you were able to sidestep chaos and to sidestep the effects of chaotic situations and really have order and discipline in yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And again, I give all thanks to God and my mother, because that the way I was raised. You know what I'm saying? And even though I like I said, I was mischievous and young man, but I knew the foundation. If I knew it wasn't right, don't go too far.
Yeah. How you enjoying your summer?
It's hot.
It's hot as fuck. It's hot as hell.
You know what I mean? But I'm here. I'm here. You know, and coming in contact with good people such as yourself, you know, Hip Hop Closet, you know, and other organizations. I'm blessed, man.
We're blessed. We're all blessed. Kyle, what's up? What we got over there?
D Wells, OSD, is asking what music artists that you listen to when you need to get hyped up, or what music artists do you listen to?
Well, anybody that know me, man, all around the board is anything guy.
Wow. Really?
Anything guy.
I wasn't expecting him to say that.
I respect it.
Yeah, I respect it, but I wasn't expecting it. Wow, okay.
You know what I mean?
Imagine Consultant, how has your perspective changed and or grown since becoming more involved in community activism locally and connecting with other community leaders throughout the nation?
It's grown because a lot of times when I meet with these elected officials or other community activists, it's always based around police brutality, and I look at their police activity wherever I'm at in that state, and I look at ours, and I come to realize that, you know, I've grown to the fact to understand that it's an occupation, it's not the person. You know, so I can't really flip on you because or be angry with you because you got a police law enforcement uniform on, because that's your occupation. It's not who you are. So I really get to understand the person now.
She also asked, or he also asked, I'm sorry, where would you like to make a difference in the future? In what areas?
That's a real. I would like to make a difference in our youth. You know, give them, like I said before, give them something, give them a future that I seen growing up, that my generation seen growing up, where we could understand after school programs, understand life better. You know, have a way out. You know, right now it's not even basketball no more. It's just rap.
Yeah, but and that's corruptive. It's corruptive, right?
One more question. How did you enjoy the Hip Hop Closet block party?
That I don't think that came from. I don't think that came from a viewer.
The time I was there, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I know my friends is watching, but if I didn't have other obligations, I would have stayed to the very end. You know what I mean? Because it was really exciting to be there, especially my first time coming out. I was supposed to come last year, but it rained. You know, but this year it was something to see. I enjoyed myself.
We enjoyed having you out. And you and I are gonna talk further about the organization, because I want to be as much of a support to you as possible in terms of getting out the message that you want, in terms of setting up something that is solid and stable and that can yield the greatest benefit to you and to the family. So we'll have that conversation. But I'm really thankful for you to come and share your story, for real.
I'm thankful for having me, man.
No, I'm very thankful for that, man. And again, I apologize for lazy. Yeah, but hold on. But it is, right? So Sean is a contestant today. Sean was already a judge. Sean is a contestant today. Kaisha's a contestant. Jason, I'm gonna pull myself out because I've been golfing all day. I'm sure there's like dust on my joints. But they came, look at
Come to the
yeah, look how they came. So Terry, what you gotta do,
man.
right?
Let me put mine up there too.
Is you gotta judge, even though you killing them.
Oh, and shout out to Camu,
Always
Aria,
shout to Camu.
shout out to you. It was a hit at the block party. Everybody
it was.
loved it. They had it over at the University of Dope booth.
It's a hit now.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
it's
hit
always
now.
a hit.
Right.
So
So here I go.
see, they're gonna try to explain their shit. You shouldn't have to explain sneakers, right?
Well, he already knows
That's
that
it.
I'm wearing the colors of
The Houston colors.
the Houston colors,
Oh,
representing.
you represent. And Jason, you want to explain yours?
Yo, you know, so you got the so you know you got the sunrise, and then you got the sunset.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, man.
And then we got Sean here. So Terry, it's on you. Who wins today?
The culture.
Wait, we got there goes that scene from Do the Right Thing. Oh!
Great answer.
Great answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
Great
So
answer.
this was dope. Again, so this is what I want you to do before we sign off. If someone wants to donate, or if they want to be of service to your organization, or if they just want to talk to you about opportunities, where do they find you?
Well, on IG is wearefloyd.org. To donate is www.wearefloyd.net. And you could also, if you use Zelle for donations, is wearefloyd846@gmail.com. And the Cash App is We Are Floyd.
Awesome. Y'all heard that.
Yes, I want to shout out Prince Lowe. He's in the building. He said great interview.
Peace, General.
Yes,
Indeed.
a style called Quest voted for me.
Love and loyalty, baby.
Yeah, it's a shame. We got to get him on the show, and then his vote will count. We need a style called
You heard
Quest to
that?
come in.
Right, I need him to
Right,
come
we
on
need
the
you.
show.
Got to come in on the show, and then your vote will count.
All right, we signing out.
Yes, one
Great
love
interview.
to y'all. Great interview. Great talking with Terry Floyd.
Yes.
Go donate. wearefloyd.net. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.